Accessing.
When TV and radio collide.
Love it.
Wow.
This is what you get. You're listening to JJ and Alex.
Don't touch that dial.
On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome in, everybody. JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. A little bit of Boston. Nice.
Always nice.
I still don't understand curling, so put it on my TV all you want. I have no idea how it goes. And you know what? I don't want to be bothered to look it up. I'm like, is that a bullseye? And they're like, that's not how that works. I'm like, what? Okay. I don't get it. I still don't know any of the rules.
I'm not going to sit here and pretend I do either.
I did watch a cool thing about those granite stones, though. $1,000 a piece. And
That's expensive.
Yeah, they can only come from one quarry in Scotland.
They have to be cut out of the same stone?
Yep.
Wow.
And it reminded me a little bit of that dude in New Jersey who's got the corner of the market on mud for baseball teams and now football teams.
I've had to buy some of that. I use it for footballs.
So it's a secret location, and he's the only one who knows where it is. And he has all the football teams now. All the NFL is his clients now because they rub down the footballs.
So
you're doing it for footballs.
Yes.
Yeah. When they weather them, that's what you get. So, all right. Joining us on the program right now, he knows all the rules to curling. Sam Farnsworth, KSL 5 Television, on the horn here with us. Sam, have you just been totally, absolutely energy just sucked out of you out of all of this? I mean, there's so much going on, and you're having to live this double life of living in Italy for a couple of weeks and having to live in Utah at the same time on TV. How is everything holding up for you, man?
It's holding, holding pattern. I've got a week left, and I can see the light at the end of the tunnel now. I mean, look, I'm not trying to make it sound like it's terrible, because I do enjoy the work that I'm doing, but you nailed it. It is tiring, and it starts to add up a little bit after a while.
I've been in your shoes. It's people don't understand unless they've lived it, but what I can say is we appreciate all the work you're doing over there and the coverage you're providing. A once-in-a-lifetime event. What's been your favorite part of it so far? What have you enjoyed the most? With still a few days left, but what are you going to take away from it?
It's always fun to see people win, right? And in the Olympics, winning is any of those three medals, right? You can finish second or third, and it's still like a great win. And to see the emotion and the pure raw joy that these athletes feel and experience by getting a medal, it's outstanding. And I think for me, still some of those favorite moments, the moments that are just burned into my memory that I probably won't forget, are seeing these athletes celebrate it with their families and some of the emotion that their families have shown watching their child win a medal. And it's such a big deal at these games because 4 years ago, the last Winter Games, of course, were the COVID locked down games in China, where no family, no friends, no one was able to attend with them except for their teammates and coaches, right? So this time around, it's been really cool to see a lot of that. There's so many of these athletes that were in the games 4 years ago that now have their family here with them. And even though maybe some of them haven't even competed for a medal yet or didn't even get a chance to compete for a medal, they still talk about how having their family with them has been the highlight. And for me as a reporter, watching them experience that with their family and sharing that emotion has been a highlight as well.
I think I asked you this last week, and I'm wondering how Team USA is competing compared to with what the expectations were. I know the team pursuit on the speed skating, that was a shock that they lost because that's just a team that doesn't lose. They've been the best in the world, bar none, and so I've been looking at Italy is having quite the they are having quite the games. I know it's at home for them, but man, they're showing up big time. And the home country usually does. I feel like we're kind of struggling though.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think home country advantage is a real thing when it comes to the Olympics, and it's not necessarily that there's that many more, people in the crowd cheering for them, but it's just that sense of pride and that knowledge, knowing that they're doing it right in front of their home country. And everyone in Italy is watching, right? It may be in the normal winter games, not everyone's watching, but because it's on their home turf, everyone is watching. And so, yeah, I think that's elevated their performance and obviously the results as they've competed here in the winter games. Just yeah, a lot of unexpected medals from the Italian team. But at the same time, you mentioned the speed skating for the United States, and it's not just that team event that you're talking about, but it's been kind of across the board in speed skating. We've had several athletes that I thought for sure were going to go home with medals in speed skating. Casey Dawson being one of them, Aaron Jackson being one of them. So many of these athletes have not finished even on the podium, and we thought they were going to win some gold medals. And so, yeah, I think the United States has maybe underperformed a bit at these Olympic Games. We'll see what this last week holds for them if they're able to maybe raise the bar a bit and kind of redeem themselves a little bit. But yeah, they have definitely underperformed.
I think we're watching hockey with a different eye in this Olympics because of the Mammoth coming to town and all the excitement around that, and now knowing some of these guys personally and following them here. How cool was it to see Clayton Keller get a shot? He had to wait a bit, but you had a chance to talk to him after getting a chance to play for Team USA. What was that like for him?
Yeah, that was awesome. That was so cool. And he was all smiles. Clayton, he's a very business guy, right? Business as usual guy. And you guys know you've seen him, you've interviewed him. And when you talk to Clayton Keller, sometimes it's hard to read, like, is he not liking the questions I'm asking, or is he, it's kind of hard to tell sometimes where he's at when you're having an interview with him. So you just have to ask questions and let it kind of go as it is. But after that game against Germany on Sunday, when Clayton played on the ice, when he came around to where I was in the mix zone, and I just said, man, how did it feel? And as I was saying the question, as the question was coming out of my mouth, the smile was on his face, and it was just cool to see because you could tell how much it meant to him to be able to play in a game at the Olympics as a representative of the United States, and not just play. He played well, right? He only played about 10 minutes over 13 shifts as a part of the third line. But that's kind of what everyone in that category here at these games has been playing, in that 10, 8 to 12 minute range on the ice. And so he got the amount of time that his replacement would have had, and he played well. And he knew it. His teammates knew it. I talked to Dylan Larkin after the game too. Dylan Larkin was one of the guys on the line with him. And I just said, hey, what kind of a teammate is Clayton Keller? And he was basically just like, man, that guy is good. And he didn't know how good he is because he's never played with him before, really. He's like, that guy's good. And he's like, and he even admitted that Clayton set me up a couple times, especially once in the first period. I wasn't ready for it. I didn't have my stick down. It was a perfect pass. And he's like, and now I know his game. Now I know what to expect. When you're on the ice with Clayton Keller, you got to be ready for anything. And it was just kind of cool to hear his teammate talking about how good he is and how well he sets up his teammates. And so all of that combined, the way he played, the way his teammates responded with him on the ice, it's definitely reflected to head coach Mike Sullivan now, because as we saw the team practice today, he was back out there practicing with that third line again with Dylan Larkin and Tage Thompson. And all indications point to him being right back on that third line again for their quarterfinals game tomorrow.
That's what I was going to say is that we just watched the end of the Sweden game, and Sweden is a tough team, and like to be a 7 seed for them, I was like, oh, that's actually a really good 7 seed. It seems wild because I think that they just had a rough go in group play, and I'm not sure how this one's going to shake out, except for, obviously Team USA is going to be a favorite on this one, but what's the reality of being able to see the U.S. and Canada together playing in that gold medal game? Certainly we have it on the women's side already, which we've totally anticipated. To have it for the men's would be really, really awesome, but what are the chances that really actually is going to happen?
I think the chances are still pretty good. With the way the United States has played, the men's team has played so far through this tournament play, they've played very well. Even Sweden, I would say, is definitely a better team than Germany, but Germany's very good. Germany's got some NHLers on their team, and the United States handled Germany pretty well. They got off to a little bit of a slow start, but once things started to click, it really got going, and the United States were able to handle them well. I think defensively, we need to see a little bit more overall from this United States team, especially against Sweden. But I still like the chances of the U.S. and Canada meeting up in a gold medal match. And it's what everyone wants. The players want it on both Canada and the United States. The media that I've talked to, even me, even media that don't represent Canada and the United States, they want to see that rematch because everyone remembers what they saw in Four Nations, right? And the emotion and everything that was there on the ice for that matchup. They want the rematch here at the Olympics. So it's important, though, for the United States not to get ahead of themselves. I don't think they will, because there are teams like Sweden and Finland. Finland's an outstanding team. They have all but one player on the roster that's in the NHL, and that one player was an NHLer. So, I mean, they're just as good and as talented, maybe not as good with depth as Canada and the United States, but they're right there with them. So you can't take any games off at this point, but I still like the odds of the U.S. and Canada meeting up in a championship.
Was it a surprise that Veggie hasn't been playing much for Czechia?
I thought it was because, you look at the roster, Driscoll, right?
Yeah.
He's a good goalie. He's their number one goalie. The other guy who I can't remember right now, his name escapes me, but he's kind of bounced around the NHL a little bit, and he's ahead of Veggie on this roster, and it makes me wonder. And because Veggie hasn't been playing, I haven't been able to have a chance to talk to him yet because he's not required to go through the mix zones, right?
Yeah.
And so, because I'd be curious to know exactly, what he's being told, why he's being held back. I'm wondering, this is just me, this is just my theory. I'm wondering if there's a little bit of him saying, hey, I need a little bit of a break. If you don't need me, give me a break. Just because the Mammoth relies so heavily on him, right?
Now we're gonna have to
He
all
leads the
start
league
asking
in wins, or he's.
We're all gonna have to start asking the injury question, Sam. Like, oh, what's going on with Veggie? Like, that's right. That's where my mind went. But obviously they disclose that stuff if it really happened.
Yeah, and you know what? He's helped, and he's excited to be here. He was here early. Not a lot of the NHL guys got here early. Veggie was here early enough to march in the opening ceremonies with this country, and he's definitely excited to be here. When I talked to him about a week before I left, so maybe 2.5 weeks before they left, and he was excited, pumped to be here. But I agree. To me, it's a bit of a surprise and a little bit of a shock and confusion as to why he hasn't played yet, but he hasn't. His team keeps winning, and if they get a medal, he'll still go home with it, whether he plays or not.
Sam Farnsworth, KSL 5 Television. You can catch him with all the energy that somebody can muster to get on TV. Sam's got it. He'll say he's a little bit tired. It won't look like it when he's on TV. So we appreciate all your coverage, Sam, and all you've been doing for us, and we'll chat with you again. I think we dip in again on Thursday. So have fun out there. Perfect. And we'll dip in then, man.
All right. Thanks, guys. Good to see you.
There you go.
Thanks, Sam.